Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Yes, indeed, it is the Missing Links Golf Show, and like any great show, there's emotional ups and downs. This pilgrimage is no different. Andy Walker, we're here tonight to talk a bit about your journey / pilgrimage. Are there any emotional ups and downs?
Well, look, let's just say I've got a fair bit to do to catch up with Scotty Scheffler. Um,
True.
I mean, after our Scotty Scheffler Love Fest last week, you know,
Was really, wasn't it?
I was sort of feeling a bit inspired, but then sort of realized that things weren't exactly going down that path for me. So,
Well, I
yeah,
think the
was a bit of a
question,
roller coaster.
I think the question that needs to be asked though, Andy Walker, is golf who you are, or is golf something that you do?
Well, it's really neither at the moment because I'm not doing a lot. I have
Oh,
to admit,
that's
in 2025 hasn't been kind to
is that
the amount of time I've been playing golf. So hopefully that'll change. But
is that a bit of foreshadowing?
yeah, maybe.
Well, let's not get down in the dumps just yet, because there was very, very exciting development that took place for you. And that was, I think you might call it the return to the Mook, Andy
Mm,
Walker, the spiritual
yeah,
homeland.
yeah. Went back down the coast, down to well, I stayed in Ulladulla, but yeah, the home of Mollymook Golf Club, my old stomping ground, my or where I played all my junior golf. And I have to say, if anyone is in that part of the world and they haven't been and played Mollymook, especially the Hilltop course, you just need to go and play it. It is a spectacular course. It's been carved effectively out of the bush, the forest, by the guy who designed and built the course, guy by the name of Billy Andriski. And
Billy, way to go, Billy.
what a phenomenal job he did
Mm.
as well for someone who really wasn't a golf course architect. He actually produced something that's really quite remarkable. In fact, when I was playing in and around the New South Wales Colts squad, the coach of the New South Wales Colts was Alex Mercer, who's very well known golf coach. Certainly back sort of 30 years ago, when I was being a bit more serious about the game. And he was Steve Elkington's coach for a little while. So he was
Oh,
the
yep.
guy who brought Steve Elkington through the junior ranks and sort of got him to sort of tour level. And Alex Mercer, when he visited Mollymook, and certainly what's now the back nine, used to be the front nine. They switched the nines around, probably 20 years or so ago. But Alex Mercer said that certainly the back nine as it is the closest that he had seen to Augusta National in Australia.
I believe
Now
it.
it's actually quite hilly, the back nine, and very similar to the sorts of upslopes and downslopes that you get at Augusta.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about Bonneville as the
Mm,
Australian Augusta.
yep.
I haven't played Bonneville, so I can't talk about that with any first-hand knowledge, but I have played Mollymook on any number of occasions. I mean, as has been well documented. Our parents have known each other a long time and lived pretty close down in Mollymook for a while.
Mm,
So we got down there and played a fair bit. And I agree. I mean, what's now the 17th, that par three
mm,
down the hill with, the
yep.
beautiful gardens just in front of the tee box, and a little bit of water, and then a nicely bunkered green complex down there. And it's not a long hole, it's a short par three, but it is spectacular. But I
Mm,
think as well, what would be the 10, 11, 12th, that par three with the
yeah.
dam to the right hand side? That's another
Yeah,
cracker as
yeah, and
well.
over the creek, and that's the thing is that now that they've swapped the nines around, it sort of has its own amen corner because you've got the tenth, which is the par four, where there's that sort of massive slope down to the
Yep.
green that you've got to contend with for your second, with the water over the back. Then you've got this really, really strong par four sort of, that sort of winds sort of a little bit left. I wouldn't really say it's a dog leg, but it sort of winds a little bit left
Wanders a bit
with the
left,
water
yes.
all the way down the right-hand side. And then certainly on, where the green, it's the dam, which is on the right-hand side of the 12th as well. Then you've got the 12th, the par three. And then the 13th is the par five
The
that
par five with the
you hit
water in front of
up.
the green.
Yeah, you head up over the hill and
Yeah,
down to the right, and
that's a
then you've
great
got the
hole.
creek along the front of the green with quite a
That's a
well,
nasty green.
it's a nasty green. It's a
Yeah,
very, very slopey green from back to front, which has
yep.
caught out many a golfer over its
Mm,
time. So it's sort of got its own amen corner in those sort of group of holes. So yeah, it's whenever I go back there, because you take things for granted. You don't really notice when you're a kid what's around you. But whenever I
mm.
go back there, I just stand there and I'm blown away a little bit just by how stunning the golf course is. It's yeah, I love it. Every time I go back there, I enjoy it even more.
For sure. And I mean, you mentioned that it was sort of carved out of the old growth forest on
Mm,
the sort of the hinterland above the beaches of Mollymook. And by the way, just as an aside, the beach of Mollymook has got to be one of the most beautiful beaches in Australia.
yeah, yeah,
No
for
doubt
sure.
about it. It's a stunning spot. So the hilltop course, as the name suggests, it's sort of up above. It's very close to the beach actually in parts, but
Mm,
it's still on top of pretty good elevation up above. So you've got some views out to the ocean at times. But the old growth forest that it's carved out of, the trees, like the size of those trees
yeah, so some of those gum trees are
are
massive.
just enormous.
Mm,
And the scale that provides, I always find it messes with your distance perception with
yep.
figuring out how far away you are because
Mm,
of the size of the trees. You feel
yep.
like um, I think you feel like you're a lot closer than you are, or
Mm,
how
yep.
something it messes with my
Yeah,
distance
yeah,
perception, even though I
and
know that
that's it.
much.
I think you always feel as though you're closer to the
Yeah,
green and to your target than what you are because of the backdrop of these massive gum trees.
yeah, yeah. So the scale's a bit disproportionate. So no, that's awesome. So I'm glad that you got back down there, and no doubt a round of golf, as we saw in the Missing Links Golf Show podcast Facebook group, a game of
Mm.
golf with Ted from Mollymook, who was looking fantastic with that great plastic 3-iron in his hand. What was going on there?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the second day I was there. We played 9 holes at the beachside course, so that was the 9 hole.
Yeah.
What's now a par three course. Where when I was a junior there, it wasn't a par three course. It was they had sort of 5 fairly short par fours, 3 par threes, and then a par five. But they converted it. Oh, probably. I don't know, 6, 7 years ago it would have been now, maybe not quite that long. And they had quite a lot of issues with balls going onto roads and into properties. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the insurance costs of keeping the golf course going were just astronomical, as insurance has done over recent times. So they converted it to, well, initially it was 8 par threes and a par four, and the par four was the eighth hole, and I don't know why they kept that as a par four because they were always going to have issues with hitting balls going into the houses along the right hand side of the eighth. So anyway, they eventually turned that into a par three as well. So now it's 9 par threes. And to be honest with you, I think they've done a really good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
They've kept a couple of the old greens. The only thing that I would say, is quite tricky is some of the new greens are basically just on the fairways, and they've just carved a green and put a green
Oh, that's not
on the
okay.
fairways, and they're actually quite slopey. And the greens were reasonably quick, and they were really tricky on Monday, to be honest with you. It was really tricky to get the right speed of them. And yeah, so we went out on the Monday morning. Now, as you remember, the last round I had was the comp round at my home club on the 26th of June,
Mm.
and my wrist was a little bit sore. At the end of that round, I had a couple of fairly thin shots that jarred my wrist a little bit, but I thought I'd be okay. I wasn't overly concerned. It certainly wasn't. sort of what it was back in February and March. Then I had a couple of sort of sessions in the high performance center. And again, my wrist was a little bit sore at the end, but nothing that I was that concerned about. I actually bought some extra matting and some cushioning for under the hitting mat because I have read and sort of watched a few YouTube videos, and Joe Legowski is actually one of them who had a few issues because he didn't have enough cushioning under his hitting mat. Basically, hitting straight, below the mat was just the slab of concrete, which is sort of the setup that I've always had. And I know he had issues with his elbow joints, and he said that in one of his YouTube videos that he could barely put his elbows on a desk. It was having that much impact. So I've sort of been thinking in the back of my mind that might contribute at least to the issues I've been having with my wrist, and then probably the age of my hitting mat as well. It's got a
Oh, the
fair
age
bit
of
of
your
use.
hitting mat. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the age of my wrists as well might have something to do with it. But yeah, I've had the hitting mat for probably 18 months or so now, and yeah, it's had a fair bit of use. So I'm thinking about maybe upgrading or at least sort of getting a hitting strip, which I know Joe Legowski does sell one of them, and there's Kaizen Golf also sell another one. So I'm sort of thinking about upgrading to the just a hitting strip and cutting a piece out of my current hitting mat.
I think it's
But
sensible because at least that way, even if it doesn't do anything, you can rule it out.
yeah, yeah,
So it moves you a step further down the path. So I think that's sensible.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, back to Mollymook. One of the when we stood on the first tee, one of the things that I was a little bit concerned about that I didn't realize before we got to the course is that all of the tee boxes we were hitting off mats. So we weren't hitting
Mm.
off grass, we were hitting off mats. And I sort of looked at it and went, yeah, I wasn't overly comfortable with it, but given it's a relatively short course. I mean, the most I hit was an 8 iron, and there were multiple wedges that I hit as well. So all I really did was just sort of take three-quarter swings and try and sort of pick the ball off the mat. So, I mean, I didn't play particularly well. Certainly the first 5 holes, the first 3 holes, every single tee shot went left and missed the green left. Made 2 bogeys, and then on the second, I actually hit it into the greenside bunker. Left my first one in the bunker and didn't get up and down. So I was 4 over through 3.
Mm.
Then on 4, I hit a really ordinary shot, pitched it past the hole, and then had a really tricky downhill putt, which I then proceeded to three putt. So
Ouch.
so I've started off bogey, double, bogey, double. So yeah, it wasn't the ideal start that I was after. Hit a really good shot into the fifth hole. And then I was probably maybe, I don't know, probably 15 to 18 feet. But again, just three putted because I mean, the greens were really tricky. And I had
Yeah.
a side hill, sort of downhill putt, which I actually thought I'd left within sort of a foot of the hole, but it just kept rolling, rolling,
Yeah.
rolling about 4 or 5 feet past. And I just missed the returning. But then, the ball striking sort of came back, and 6, 7, 8, 9, I parred. I hit every green, and on the sixth hole, I sort of hit it up near the flag, but it sort of jagged back, about sort of 20 feet. But that was a pretty easy two putt. Again on 7, I didn't hit a great shot on 7, but it was sort of front left and was just an easy two putt. Sort of similar story on 8, and then on the ninth, which is only sort of 70 meters, I actually hit it probably my best shot of the 9, and I just hit my 58 degree and just like drilled it straight at the flag, and it landed right next to the flag and just sort of tailed off to the left. But my putt I actually hit a really good putt where I wanted to hit it, but it just stayed on the line, didn't take the break that I thought it would. So I ended
Mm.
up with quite an ordinary, what's that, about 7 over, I think it was
It's
for,
7 over by my maths.
yeah,
Yep.
for 9 holes. So, look, it wasn't as bad as the first 9 holes that's in the comp round on the 26th of June, but it also was a pretty easy par three course where the longest shot I hit was an 8 iron. So,
It's not
so
ideal.
yeah, it's not
Not
ideal.
ideal. So 7 over.
Yeah.
How did Ted go?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't
Sounds
know
like
if he
six
was
over to
keeping
me.
it wasn't I don't think he was keeping sort of score. We didn't actually talk about
Mm.
sort of scores after that. So he probably would have been about 7 over, I would expect. He may have beat me by a shot. I may have beaten him by a shot, but yeah, I think we were both sort of in our own little worlds and
Let
focused on
us
what
know,
we were
Ted.
doing.
Let us know. Shoot us a
Mm.
line. I'm
Yep.
curious.
Yep.
So,
Mm.
okay, let's unpack this a little bit. So you've played 9 holes. You've got through the 9 holes. You haven't
Yep.
had full swings. You're not hitting long clubs.
Yeah, I
How's
mean,
how's
my wrist was a little bit sore, but no sorer than what it was from the comp round,
mm,
and certainly no sorer than what it was when I'd had the couple of swing sessions in the high performance center. So I wasn't overly concerned. It wasn't certainly wasn't something that yeah I had I thought I was going to have to take another break from the game.
did you get a bit of ice on the wrist after the round, or at least
No, no, but
something something
I did
icy
take
cold
my
in the
I
hand?
I did take my grips down there and my squeezy ball. So I was doing a little bit of grip work and squeezy ball work down there, but no cold beverages either.
Mm.
I'm trying to stay off the cold beverages, which I may have had a couple of reds with Ted from Mollymook down there. So
A room
um,
temperature beverage.
yeah, a room temperature beverage rather than a cold beverage.
Very good. Okay, so we're one round in, warm up. You've reacquainted yourself back to the Mook.
Mm, mm.
What was
So,
next?
so back to that plastic club that Ted had
Yes.
in his hand. So after the round, so my 8-year-old daughter is and like she's into anything that she can do with someone.
Mm.
She wants to do like I'll go down the shops and she'll want to come down the shops with me. So it's really cool. She just wants to be involved in everything, doesn't want to miss out. So she wanted to come down and play golf with us on Monday morning. And it wasn't really appropriate. We were playing with a couple of other guys that Ted knew, so it wasn't that appropriate for her to come out with us. So there was just this bin for junior golfers, and the plastic golf club was in the bin, and Ted sort of grabbed it out and sort of went, "Oh, this would be really good for your daughter." And I sort of looked at it and went, "Yeah, I think she's got her own set of golf clubs, like a small set, maybe sort of 4 or 5 clubs." But I said, yeah, we can do that. And I said, oh, how about we take a photo? Anyway, he's still at the club when we took the photo. It was
That's
pretty
awesome.
funny. But anyway, in the end, we ended up putting that club back, and there was actually a more appropriate metal club that we grabbed for her, and just out the side of Ted's property, we took my daughter out there, and she had a couple of swings with this club just down the side of the property, which was kind of cool.
Nice. Very good. Well, that explains that. That was a bit of a mystery. So there you go.
So it wasn't actually Ted's club, but
Oh,
yeah,
shame.
it was a pretty funny moment and funny photo.
Mm, mm, nice.
So anyway, we got through the week, and Friday morning came, and we booked in to play Hilltop on Friday, and this was something that I was really looking forward to. As I said, I really enjoy, even more so as an old bloke, sort of getting down there and playing my old home course. So we teed off about sort of 7:16, I think it was. Warm up in the practice nets, felt okay, no red flags or anything. I decided that I was only going to hit my 3 utility off the tee. And this was mainly
Okay.
because, back in March and April, when my wrist really hurt, it was when I was swinging either my fairway or my driver, and I just thought, you know what, I just want to be safe. I want to make conservative decisions, so I'll just hit my three utility off the tee.
So
So
that I find that, sorry to jump in, but I find that interesting because I would have thought, like, I get the shaft length obviously gets a bit longer as you go into fairway and driver, but I would have thought the face, like the head, is a little bit more forgiving on a driver than on a long iron.
it's not through impact that's the big issue. It's the
It's the
transition
loading.
from, yeah, the backswing into the downswing, and that loading that you get when
Mm.
your body is sort of starting to go towards the target, yet your hands and the club are moving in the opposite direction, and you're getting a little bit more wrist cock in there. That loading and that pressure, that's what sort of creates the
That's where
issue.
the
And
issue
you're going to
is.
get more than that, obviously, with a driver and fairway
Mm.
than what you're going to get with the three utility. So again, I just wanted to make just some conservative decisions around, what I was doing. I didn't really want to put too much pressure on my wrist.
Fair enough.
So the first three holes I played, and again, a little bit of an ordinary start. I bogeyed the first. Mind you, I missed about a 10-foot putt for par, which rolled over the edge of the hole.
We
Fairly
playing. You're playing. Starting off one. Yeah, playing the front nine.
starting off one, yes.
Yep.
So the par four
Still,
down the
like,
hill.
it's not a gimme, that hole.
No, well, I hit my three utility and a 7 iron, and a pretty ordinary 7 iron to the sort of front, sort of left, just short of the green. Pitched up to about 10 feet, and yeah, just I actually hit a really good putt. I thought I'd made it, but it just held its line and rolled over the lip. On the second, I actually hit a really good tee shot on the second, but I was a bit, because you know how there's a pretty, severe dog leg to the right.
Mm.
I thought I'd hit it past the corner, but in the end I hadn't. So I had to try and sort of manufacture my second shot, and it just didn't move and went sort of left of the left bunker. I still had a shot, again, pitched to about 10 feet and almost, carbon copy of one. I hit a really good putt, but it just rolled over the edge of the hole. So started off bogey, bogey.
Mm.
Then we came to the third. Now the third is a bit of a nemesis hole for me. I've never loved the hole, I must admit. And again, you can't hit driver or really a fairway off the tee, especially when you're sort of, back, and you're off the championship tees. Not that we only played off the whites, but I took my three utility and just hit a big roping hook into the
Nice.
left trees. It actually hit the trees hard and ricocheted over to the right hand side of the fairway.
Probably not a bad result.
Yeah, so it sort of opened the hole up for me a little bit. I took my 4 iron and I hit, it was in the rough, and it was a bit of a ordinary lie, and I hit an okay 4 iron down the right hand side of the fairway. Still had a 6 iron in, and probably put my worst swing on the 6 iron, and it just went straight right into the trees
Oh,
and ricocheted back. And I really had no shot at the flag, so I just had to pitch out to the right hand side of the green. Didn't get up and down, so I actually end up making a triple bogey seven on
oh,
the third, which was
oh.
very disappointing.
Five over after three.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was pretty happy at that stage. So I stood on the fourth tee, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to hit driver.
May as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I pulled out driver. And I actually hit a really good drive down the left hand side of the fairway,
I
but
love it
it
though.
hurt.
I was going to say, I love this. You just, your determination to make sensible decisions, play conservative golf, do all of the right things, have a game plan, stick to your game plan,
Yeah,
is lasted three holes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
After a
awesome.
triple bogey.
That's awesome. Um, which is totally understandable. Unless you're the
Mm.
co-host of a podcast, which is supposed to be talking about how to get better at golf.
Yeah. So anyway, and as soon as I hit it, I regretted my decision. Of course, it did hurt, and that transition with a driver, I knew I was in a bit of trouble at that stage, and I went, all right, I'm just going to see how I go. I didn't sort of mention it to anyone. I thought, I'm just going to, try and sort of suck it up and get through the round. I hit an 8 iron to the front of the green and three putted for a bogey. So that was a little bit disappointing. On the fifth, the par three, I hit a really good 8 iron actually to probably about 18 feet, and um, I hit what I thought was a really good putt, but it just broke a little bit more than what I thought, and just tapped it in for a par. The sixth hole. Now the sixth is the horseshoe par five,
Mm,
but
it's a good hole.
what they've done, they've put in a temporary green and made the first. They've sort of split it in two because they've taken out the 11th hole for maintenance at the moment. So what we did, we played a par three to the temporary green, which is sort of where, I don't know if you remember where the
Yeah,
toilet blocks are, in
yeah,
between the sort of the third, fourth, and the
yep.
sixth. So the green's up in there. So I hit a pretty ordinary sort of pull hook 7 iron into the bunker, and didn't get up and down for bogey. Then on, what are we on now?
Well, it will become the seventh now, but it's
Become
still the second half of the sixth.
Yeah, yeah. So on the well, it's the shot into the green, really. So it's 240 meters, and it's a par four on the card, and I was going to hit my three utility. I sort of walked up there thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to hit my three utility, but my three utility wouldn't have actually made it over. You know how there's a dam
There's the
probably
yep,
100 meters short of the green? My
yep.
three utility wouldn't have made it over the dam. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to hit my driver again. Hit a big roping hook driver into the trees, which they're sort of out of bounds down there.
Mm,
I didn't play a provisional and just got down there, couldn't find my ball. I mean, you know what? I'm just
it's
walking to
dead.
the next tee.
Yep, yep.
So, that's potentially, double, maybe triple on that hole as well. But at the end of the day, it was a social round, so
Mm.
I wasn't sort of that concerned. My wrist was getting a little bit sore. It wasn't that the drive. It was My wrist wasn't as sore as what it was from the fourth hole, my tee shot on the fourth, but I could feel it starting to get sore. And but again, I just wanted to get through the round and just see how it sort of went through, the remaining holes. So on the seventh, which was our eighth hole, I've actually hit quite a good three utility down the right hand side of the fairway. So it opened up the green. So it's a dogleg left par four.
Yeah, your second, you're coming in over the water at the
Yeah,
sort of little
over the
creek.
creek.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, the
yep.
creek's not really in play for,
Shouldn't be.
a reasonable handicap. I mean, it's probably, maybe 60, 70 meters short of the
It's
of the
all dependent
green.
on your tee shot though, because if your
Mm.
tee shot's a bit left, then you're blocked out, and then
Yeah, correct. And
then
you've
you've got
and
problems. So you've got
the
to
best
keep your
shot
tee
there
shot
is just
tight.
to pitch down to the end of the
You don't have a
fairway and
choice.
pitch across to the green rather than taking the water on. My approach shot into the green was probably the best shot I hit for the week. Hit a really good 6 iron to about 12 feet and hold the putt for birdie. So I thought, okay, that's
Nice.
that's pretty
Yeah, from
good. And
memory, that's a bit of a tricky green too.
mm,
See,
yeah, it is. It sort of slopes from back to front. And certainly if you're on the left-hand side of the flag, it's a reasonable, and getting towards the back of the green as well. It's flatter on the front of the green. The pin was probably halfway back, so there was a little bit of slope there. wasn't too much, but yeah, I just hit a really good putt. Never looked like going anywhere else but in the middle of the hole. So I was pretty
nice.
pretty happy with that. So we stood on the eighth tee, which was our ninth hole, and
Mm.
the eighth. as you know, is that really long par five all the way up the hill.
It's just
It's like,
nasty.
from the back, it's like 515 meters. So what's that? Sort of 560 yards, 570 yards maybe.
It's all right. But it's all uphill
It's all uphill. It's a long way up there.
and it's
I'm
cocky. So there's no
Yeah,
run.
it's all KQ as well. Um, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to hit my three utility, just stick to the game plan. Uh, and I was halfway through my backswing and I just started thinking about my wrist. And in my downswing, I just pulled up. Like I, I just had this not a feeling of dread, but I was just really worried about my wrist, and I just pulled up and I hit a cold top down the
Wow.
fairway, and that was probably the worst thing I could have done because that really hurt. The jarring of hitting a cold top just really hurt my wrist, and I pulled my right hand off the club, and actually Ted sort of looked at me and went, "Was that your wrist?" And I went, "Yeah, it is." And he said, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I might have to pick up, or I'll just see how we go." So we walked up the fairway, and it started to feel a little bit better. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna see how I go, and not make a decision. I still wanted to complete the round, but I also didn't want to do anything sort of more to my wrist. So I hit two reasonably good three utilities up the fairway. Now I was never going to get to the green in three after cold topping my tee shot, and then I hit a pitch to the front of the green, which sort of jagged back to right on the fringe, and then three putted for an easy double bogey.
Mm.
So I walked to the ninth tee, which was our 10th hole, going, yeah, look, I'm not convinced that carrying on is the best thing for me. I wanted to play out through the night, or through our 10th hole. I actually hit a really good, it's a par three, back to the clubhouse, and I hit a really good six iron to probably 18 feet. And again, a really good putt that just didn't sort of take the breakers I thought it would, but it was a pretty much a gimme par three, and just tapped in. So I said to the guys, I said, look, I don't really, I want to continue, but I don't really want to take the risk. So I actually put my clubs back in the car and I walked the last eight holes. So Ted, kept playing with our two playing partners, and I
Mm.
basically just walked the last eight holes, which, it was disappointing from a golf perspective, but the good thing from just a general sort of viewpoint is that it gave me the opportunity to just take in the golf course and take in the surrounds, especially sort of down around that Amen corner, and back up to the top of the hill through the sort of 14th, 15th, 16th. It was really spectacular, and I really enjoyed just walking around. I remember when I was a junior walking around the course watching Brett Ogle play in a pro-am, and I don't think I've walked around the course since then.
Mm.
So it was really really cool just to walk around the course and take it all in. However, obviously the disappointing thing is that, yeah, I'm now in a position where I probably need to take a little bit of time out and find out what's going on with my wrist to get a permanent solution, because it's a bit of a worry, to be honest with you.
Big worry.
Mm.
It is. Like the concern is just not knowing what really is the problem. And obviously, you had your ultrasound and had scans done, and
Yeah,
that was relatively inconclusive.
yeah. I had an X-ray done and I had an ultrasound done, and didn't show anything. The ultrasound showed a little bit of inflammation and you've got like, I don't know how many bones it is through that part of your wrist, but it's a significant number of bones. There wasn't any fractures. There wasn't anything untoward. There was just a little bit of inflammation in and around, the ligaments and tendons that you've got in your wrist. So that was Yeah, it was inconclusive, and to be honest with you, I don't know where to go next with it.
Has there been any talk of an MRI or any further investigation like that?
No, no, and I haven't really gone down that path yet. I mean, it's only been a few days since I've been back from Mollymook, so it's really sort of back into work and catching up on work. So I really need to, yeah, just put together a bit of a plan and maybe, yeah, try and find some answers. Because at the moment it's, I think it might be, the hitting mat and potentially, the jarring from not having enough cushioning. But again, I'm having a bit of a guess, so I don't know.
No, I was having this thought whilst I was listening to you tell the story. Okay. The thing that's intriguing to me is that the pain that you're getting during the round is on the load at the transition at the top of the swing,
Mm,
not at impact.
yep.
Now, just logically find that strange if it's an impact created injury from the hitting mat, that the pain's not at impact with what is creating the injury, if you know what I mean. I hope that makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, the way I look at it is that with the jarring through impact, and effectively, I mean, there's a little bit of cushioning underneath the hitting mat, but then it's just a slab of concrete.
mm,
With that jarring, that repetitive jarring, injury potentially, it isn't, it won't say show up through impact through that hitting zone and the club striking the ball, but it may show up at the top of my swing just through and sort of like an RSI type injury,
mm,
where it just has an inflammation and, yeah, some swelling potentially through those tendons and ligaments that I've got in my wrist. So I think I can sort of see the link, but again, I'm just having a bit of a guess as to whether that's actually accurate or not.
yeah, and that's where I think knowledge is power on this one, because when did this start? This was pre Macquarie Cup, so we're talking.
Yeah, yeah. So it sort of started off um, probably around February, March,
Mm,
when I started, because I took a little bit of time off over sort of Christmas, New Year, because that's when we were doing a fair bit of work on our previous property to get it ready for, to sell. And then it was more sort of February, towards the end of February, when I was getting ready for the New South Wales Senior Amateur, that it started hurting. So whether I've done
that's right,
something,
because it was at the
dur-
senior amateur then when you had the plug line in the bunker that
yeah,
it really flared.
yep, yep, yep. So whether something happened through that time, I don't remember there being an event as such that where I sort of went, oh, that. Apart from obviously the plug lie that I had in the bunker, but my wrist was already a little bit sore prior to that anyway. So that was sort of more, the end result rather than, I think, the start of it. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just, yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss at the moment.
Yeah, it's not good because, like, in that time period between, when that took place, sort of in February, March, because the senior M was, that was the first week of March. So really from then to now, where are we? April, May, June, July. Yeah, so we're at about nearly 4 months, really, 4 and a bit
Yep.
months.
Mm.
You haven't played a lot of golf in that
No.
period. You would have thought that an injury would have had every chance to heal. I mean, obviously, going to the high performance center is potentially aggravating things, but
Mm.
I don't know. Like, I feel like MRI's got to be on the cards anymore.
Yeah, it's something that I probably need to pursue in the coming weeks and just see where it goes, I guess. Just try and find some answers. I mean, I've put together a bit of a plan as to what I think I should do, certainly from a activity perspective. But yeah, again, I'm having a bit of a guess as to what may or may not work, and what would, may or may not aid my recovery.
Well, see, on the original plan for what we were going to talk about in this episode, the second half was all going to be about your recovery plan and your strategy
Mm,
from this point forward. But my
yep,
problem with this is that to really
it's based
develop
on
a
a guess.
yeah, to develop a good recovery plan, you need to know what the injury is
Mm,
and ideally what's caused it. We don't know the answer to either of those two questions at the moment.
mm, yeah, yep, and certainly the scans that I've got at the moment haven't really shown
No,
anything. So
no, they
there
haven't.
there needs to be something, I guess something more
There's
that I
got there's
do.
something. Look, there's something going on, right? Like the wrist
Mm,
is not as it should be.
yep.
It's causing pain and it's creating, it's causing difficulty with swinging the club. So that's not normal. There's got to be something going on.
Mm,
We need to find out what it is. Otherwise, the other option is that we move to the Missing Links dart show.
mm. Well, I was thinking lawn bowls. No.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I just worry about the knees or the lower back with all that bending down to for the lawn
Yeah,
bowling.
that's
I
true.
tell
I
you
mean,
what, mate.
I've so far had like my rib cartilage, and
I know.
that may go again. So um,
It's a
yeah,
concern, Andy Walker. I mean, these are
it
the
is.
realities of chasing middle-aged sporting glory.
It is.
It's
It
fraught
is.
with injury risk.
It
So,
is.
but I think I do think this is a question that needs to be answered. So, I don't know. What do you think? How are we going to tackle this? Because we can't go on with you continuing to just get out there for half a round and succumb to injury and walk off the
No,
course. I just don't think the Pilgrims are going to stand for that.
no, 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 no. And look, I mean, the the plan that I had, which was basically just around, a few weeks of rest, then using the hand grips and the squeezy ball for, strengthening, you know, taking some time to work on my physical fitness as well, because as you know, I've stacked on a few kilos over the last 18 months.
In fairness, okay, you're not alone, but not to that magnitude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just as a side note, pilgrims, I almost cracked the ton there when came back from Mollymook. I've actually now had a couple of workouts, so I've shed a little bit of that, but geez, it was
So
close.
good, so good. It's so good. For those in the non-metric world, that is that the ton 100 kgs that would equate to 220 pounds.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a good effort. It's a good effort,
yeah.
particularly for a bloke that's only 5'6".
What? Come on, mate. Look, I'm not 6 foot. I'm a little bit under 6 foot, but
Um,
I think I'm about 5'11" and a half or something. I never got to
yeah,
that 6 foot.
yeah. I think we're
Um,
pretty similar on that front, to be honest.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
gold. So good. Yeah. Okay.
So
So
yeah, so then again, I was going to get the hitting mat insert just to see if that sort of made a difference.
mm,
And then sort of for the first few weeks, just focusing on putting, and you know how I was doing like those swing movements and positions that we were talking about. I was really
yeah.
focused on just sort of, getting into certain positions, sort of shadow, sort of mirror, sort of swinging. Just doing that, and then based on how I was recovering, moved to sort of short game and wedges, short irons, and then eventually sort of long irons, fairways, and driver. But you're right. At the end of the day, say I'm halfway through that, and I get to start,
I
hitting
know.
long irons again, and you know the wrist goes, then I'm back to square one.
I know. I know. And this is my concern. like all of the strategies that you've talked about and all of those things, they're all good. Like none of them
Mm,
are a bad idea. They're all
yeah,
sensible and they're all good ways of dealing with it. So there's no argument from that. But the underlying issue is this has been going on now for 4 months,
yep.
and that's not a good sign. Like that's a pretty long term issue.
Mm, yeah, it is.
In and I just think, given that we're, feels like we're 2 steps forward, 3 steps back a lot of the time with this recovery program. Um, you just need to know, like what's going on. And if the other scans haven't showed anything, then I'm pretty confident that an MRI would, because
So
it
so what's and forgive my ignorance here, but what's the difference between an MRI and say an ultrasound?
right. So here we go, Dr. Hinks. This is this is a scary step off. So an MRI will image everything the whole way through with a huge amount of detail,
Yep.
and you can kind of like cut all the different layers and look at, kind of scan through the whole thing. So it'll show everything, bones, ligaments, whatever you want to look at. You just get a huge amount of information, whereas the ultrasound is just much less information to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yep.
That's as technical as I'm going to get on that, because that's
Right.
not my area of expertise. But the
Yep.
MRI is kind of the gold standard of imaging in terms of the information that it can provide to
Mm,
to your doctor to try and diagnose something. So it is more expensive generally. An ultrasound, an X-ray, you might pay. If it's not covered by Medicare or your insurance, you might pay, I don't know, 100, $150 for it. Your MRI, you're probably looking at about $400, $500 for an
mm,
MRI.
mm, mm.
But the the amount of detail that you'll get is, and there might be something small that is missed in an X-ray, because an X-ray is
Yep.
really going to show you the
Well, that's more
the
bone,
hard,
isn't it?
yeah, it's like the hard stuff
Yeah.
inside you.
Yep.
It
Yep.
will, like, I think the doctors can identify a little bit of muscular issue through an X-ray, probably to the connection points with bones and stuff. But then the
Mm,
ultrasound, sort of more for soft tissue stuff. The MRIs can show
yep.
you everything,
Yeah. Right. Okay.
and in a lot more detail.
Mm,
So
mm.
um, I would think it's a
That's
sensible
the
option.
the next step.
Yeah, and I think if you go through that, it's got to tell you something, because if you
Mm,
if you're going through, nothing really, because what I'm jumping around, but like what's interesting to me when I listen is that you're talking about the ultrasound showed a bit of
inflammation.
inflammation.
Mm,
So inflammation is a response to something.
yep. Yep.
It's the body protecting
Mm,
a part of itself from an
yep.
injury or from further damage. So what is it that it's
Mm,
protecting from? Like
protecting itself. Yeah.
what's the issue there? So that might be what the MRI will identify and show you,
Mm, mm,
because there's got to be something that's not quite right for
yeah.
inflammation to occur.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And I agree with that. Yeah. So that could be, yeah, that's probably good, the next logical step, I guess, in the investigation as to what this could be, because yeah, I don't really want to guess again, which is
Well,
sort of where we're at. And yeah, I really, and we started this whole sort of pilgrimage so we could actually play more golf and
that's right.
get into the competitive side of senior amateur golf. And I sort of feel as though I just haven't done that. Well, it's not that I don't feel as though I haven't done that. I haven't done that.
Well, you were
I
get you were
got
getting there though. You were getting there like late last year, and or no, prior to the rib injury.
mm,
Probably, I think it was the first half of last year, really.
yeah, yeah,
When you played and carded a few really good rounds, like around par and just under par, and things were looking really good.
yeah, yeah,
And then obviously you had time out due to the sternum, the rib cartilage, and then this year the wrist. I
yeah.
feel like the the byproduct, the positive or the silver lining to the wrist cloud potentially is it's given you a chance to rest the rib cartilage and the sternum a little bit and actually get that back where it needs to be.
Mm, mm.
So that's good.
Yeah, but I mean, that hasn't been, I haven't even really thought about that for best part of 9 months.
Yeah, but it has had more time to heal.
Yeah, true,
Is
true.
my point,
Yep.
which is let's say that that's a good outcome out of all of
Mm.
this rubbish. But the problem with the wrist, and then the issue is if it's continuously recurring, that's when you start doing, kind of long term damage,
Yep.
which you don't want to do.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I think you need to find out.
All right.
It's
So,
back to the it's back to the doctor, Andy Walker.
MRI.
I think so. I just don't think you have another choice. I think
Mm.
you need to know, because otherwise, anything, all these other things that you're doing, they're in the hope that it heals itself and it doesn't flare up again.
Mm.
But you just
Mm.
don't know because you don't know what's causing it.
Yep. Mm. Yep. Mm.
Mm.
Yes.
We need some moody music to be dropped in at this point. I'll have to have a look in the royalty-free music library and see what we can come up
Mm.
with.
Lots to consider, but yeah, it's a bit of a worry, and as we've said, we need some answers.
I think so, because it might be something which is relatively easily fixed as well,
Mm.
that can get you
Mm.
back on the path. Whether there's a small surgery that's required, or whether it is a cast and an immobilization, or whether it's a particular exercise program, or whatever the case may be. There might be a lot of different ways to solve it, but
Yep.
you just don't know until you're
Mm.
going to do it. Like, um, there are, yeah, you're right. Like, there's a lot of complexity in the wrist joint. It's not a simple joint. There's a number of
Yeah.
different small bones in there, and ligaments and things like that, cartilages and all the rest of it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what when I saw when I was talking to the physio initially about this injury, that's what he said. He showed me a picture of all the little bones that you've got in your wrist, and it makes sense given you can move your wrist in a circular motion. In order to facilitate that motion, you've got to have a lot of joints in there. So it
Yeah,
makes sense that there's a lot of little bones and little fragments and in there, but that also means that a lot can go wrong as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. And I think, like, the motion of your golf swing, you're rotating your wrist probably in about at least three different axes, from cocking to rotating and pronating
Mm.
and all the wrong words. But it's moving in a pretty complex fashion.
Mm. Yep.
So any one of those things could be aggravating something. It's hard to know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I certainly think, that transition at the top of your swing is probably, what puts the most pressure on
On the
uh, on
thumb,
on your wrists because I mean when your hands and the golf club is moving away from your target, yet your body's starting to transition and move towards your target. That
mm,
that puts a huge amount of pressure on that part of your body. So it also makes sense to me that's if I was going to have an issue with my wrist, that's where it would occur.
I think that makes sense. I think either there or it impacts, which is
An
where
impact, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
where you've got that force returning through the shaft of the club.
Mm.
If there are any doctors, any orthopedic surgeons, physios, or anything like that listening to the show,
Mm.
please jump in, because we are clearly out of our depth at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but trying to solve the problem. I think you need expert opinion on this one,
Mm.
Andy Walker.
Yeah, I agree.
No question.
Yeah.
We need to get to the bottom of it. We need to get you back out there playing golf.
Yeah. 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 And I agree with that. And, my whole year, my 2025, because I thought after, my recovery through April, May, and the first part of June, I thought, oh, yeah, I'm good. And I should be able to start doing some practice again and start playing some decent golf through the back end of the year. But again, that's sort of gone out the window and back
Yeah,
to square one.
yeah, which is frustrating, super frustrating. You know,
Mm.
especially given the fact that every week you've got to get on and talk about the fact that you still can't play golf. Like, that's got to be wearing pretty thin.
Yeah.
You ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, and wearing thin with me and wearing thin, I'm sure, with the Pilgrims. But at least you can play some golf.
Yes, and we will talk about that in the next episode, because there is a
Mm.
round of golf to unpack. But we're not talking about that tonight. Um, so I don't know. Where to from here? Short term thinking, long term thinking.
Well,
Back
I
back to the
think,
doctor's office.
yeah, I'm gonna, as soon as we jump off recording, I'm gonna have a look and see if I can book in to see my doctor. I've got to go down to Sydney tomorrow. So, my doctor is in Sydney, so I'll see if I can get in to see him tomorrow, at least to get an initial assessment and see what he reckons.
Mhm.
If I can't get in tomorrow, I might have to make a telehealth call or appointment and speak to him over the phone, which again is fine.
That would be okay.
Yeah, and then hopefully get into to get an MRI or at least have him provide some advice on what he believes is the next step
Yeah.
from here. I think that's sort of step one, and then sort of steps two, three, four, and so on is quite dependent on that.
Yeah. So quite often, like your doctors will go, "Oh, we don't want to go too hard on the diagnostics just at the moment. If you're okay in your general life and you can still work and you can still do these sorts of things, then we'll just give it time." I think, I think the angle is that, look, I'm a professional amateur golfer, and
I'm an international podcaster that relies on
on
my
golf,
professional amateur
yeah,
golf
yeah.
to
So I
continue with the
need
podcast.
I need to get back on the course, and I need to get this sorted just to
Mm.
make sure that that sense of urgency is there. But you know, I think if you're kind of clear about, look, this has been going for 4 months now, and it's just not acceptable. Got to get to the
Yep.
bottom of it. It should be okay.
Yep, yep, yep. And look, I've already, I mean, he's been okay with the X-ray and with the ultrasound. So, the next step of a MRI, if that hasn't worked, if that hasn't provided any answers, then I don't think it's sort of too much of a leap forward to get an MRI as well.
Yeah, and if that shows you nothing, then it's clearly mental. So
I'm telling you, it's not mental. So certainly
well,
when I cold top the three utility off the tee, that's well, I
well,
mean,
that was
maybe
mental.
that
That
was
was totally
that
mental.
that was the cold top was
Yeah,
a mental bit, but the feeling afterwards wasn't.
yeah. No, it's not good. You got to get it sorted.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no question. It's what we're doing.
Anyway, step one, back to step one, go to the doc,
Yeah,
see, get some professional advice.
yep. So in future episodes, we want to hear what's going on. We want to know
Mm,
that there's progress,
yep.
and we want to see some MRI imaging up on the Facebook page.
Okay. Well, if I get access to it,
Well, yeah.
which
Oh, you
yeah.
usually do. They usually you get an app these days that you can
Yeah,
actually
and I do have
download it on.
I got the ultrasound and the X-ray
Yeah,
images on the app, so yeah, that
yeah,
usually is available.
yeah. Because I had one done years ago when I tore ligaments in my ankle in my last ever game of touch football. Uh,
Yep.
that was a career ender, and that was awesome to look at that.
Mm.
Like you can scan through the whole image of,
Yeah.
in this case, it was like foot, from like the the outside, like through every layer imaginable through.
Yeah. Right.
It's really
Mm.
cool.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. It's a bit of fun. It's not
Well,
fun. It's
I
not
don't know
fun.
whether fun is the
It's
right
not fun.
word, but you know,
But if you get the answer, then
I'll
that's
take
what
your word
what
for it.
counts. Yeah,
Mm.
very good. Wow. Well, that was a bit of an emotional journey, Andy Walker.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
it's a bit of a bit of a worry, but hopefully we'll be able to get to the bottom of it with some professional advice.
yeah, it's not the outcome we wanted. I'll be honest.
Mm.
It is somewhat disappointing, but we're onwards and upwards, and we'll be on the way forward. And next episode, Pilgrims, we are actually going to talk about full rounds, completed rounds of golf, and that is exciting.
What what's that again?
That is exciting. So,
Mm.
just as a tease, that that was my competition round from the weekend just past now. So it'll be a couple of weeks by the time the episode goes to air. And I just to set the scene for you, Andy Walker, that I was going into this round of golf with after the New South Wales Mid Am, and I had a couple of good rounds drop out the bottom of my 20.
Mm.
My handicap had bounced up to 9.5.
Ooh, okay.
And I wasn't particularly happy about that. Now, the interesting thing is, before the round just played, I had another flag round about to drop out the bottom end of my 20,
Mm,
and it was a 7.3.
yep.
And the next lowest round that wasn't a flag round, that if I didn't replace it, would drop in, would be an 11.8. And if you do the
Mm,
maths on that, that would take the 9.5 up to a 10.0.
that's not good.
So we're not going to talk about outcomes, but we're just going to say that the preparation for this
Mm,
round was staring down the barrel of drifting out of single digits
mm,
for
it's
the
not
first
ideal.
time, since all of the battles in
Mm,
the front end of the Missing Links Golf Show of trying to get into single digits. So,
yep.
Pilgrims, if that doesn't intrigue you and whet the appetite for listening to that episode to see what happens, then I don't know what will.
Mm, mm. Well,
I mean, if
yeah.
anyone else is
Um,
interested in my handicap as much as I am, but
well, I look forward to listening to it because that does sound intriguing.
all I can say is emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, been on one or two of those over the last little while.
Mm. So anyway, that's next episode. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Andy Walker, for sharing your tale. And certainly, whilst the outcome was not great risk related, it's fantastic to just reminisce about Mollymook Hilltop Golf Course,
Yeah,
because
and that
there's
was
not many.
certainly the highlight of my trip down there. Just you know, getting out there to play and experience Mollymook again. As I said at the start of the show, if anyone's got the chance to play while they're down the coast, it's about 3 hours south of Sydney. Just need to get out and play because it truly is one of the best courses on the coast.
100%. And whilst people are preparing to play Mollymook, or even after they've played Mollymook, um, Andy Walker, is there any advice for what you think that they should do?
What apart from a cold beverage or even a room temperature beverage?
Well, yeah, probably apart from that. Yeah. Maybe whilst doing that.
Whilst doing that, well,
Yeah.
there's only one thing to do whilst doing that.
Which is what?
Rock out, pilgrims.
I like it.